It's God! It's me, it's me, it's me, it's me. Anyway, so, now that my week has begun, I'm back to work doing the usual thing that I did like 2 days ago, and I'm kind of bouncing around or whatever. And I thought, now that I've got a few little videos out, I need to get something that will, like, one of my stories, and get them started. So, I thought a little gold nugget, throw at you guys, would be kind of cool. Now, some of you know the story, some of you do not know this story. But I'm going to tell you a story about my crab. You have a crab. You have a crab. Ken, I've never known you to have a pet crab. It's very easy to take care of. And I'll tell you about my crab. I went on vacation with a very dear friend of mine who, disclaimer, he wishes he remain anonymous. But those of you that know about my trip to the Cape know exactly who I'm talking about. So, he went with me. Well, sort of. I met him over there. So I go to the Cape. We spent a few days together on vacation. And the car ride for me to get there was 10 hours on one tank of gas. Go Honda. So I'm over there, did vacationing, went around. We did all sorts of goofy things and act our dysfunctional selves as normal. Again, brownie points from him and I for that little stunt. And we did some neat stuff. Went and did this, did that, and enjoyed myself. Went on the beach, blah, 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 blah. Well, my last day, I was there. I decided, which I will tell you the story of vacation at another point in time, but I gotta get this story up because it's kind of cool. The crab incident, our last day, we're walking along the beach. I was supposed to, my intention at that point was just to take seashells for souvenirs to take home. Because my mother was like, yeah, she loves lighthouses and the beach and that whole nautical, whatever you call it, the beach life, if you will. She loves that idea. So, I had to get shells, which I got lots of them. And as we're walking, I just was like this close to being done. I'm walking along, and we see the boats and everything going out. Picturesque, if you will. And I see this thing floating, I guess, sort of, right at the shoreline. And my friend says, I think that's one of them horseshoe crabs. I look over and I'm like, is it? I don't know my crustaceans. Not quite the savant on that I probably should be. But, being I'm the proud owner of one. And I realize it's dead. And it turns out it's one of them horseshoe crabs. With the long pointy tail. It looks almost like something that, it's freaky looking. It's real spooky. I don't like the thing, but I have it. We end up taking it. This sucker stunk to high heaven. It was nasty. I mean, I thought it was alive. It was playing dead or something. Don't ask me why I thought that, but I did. So, I'm picking up this thing by its spike of a tail, and I'm carrying it back. And this thing, now that the water's off of it, and it's drying as I'm holding it, and walking the car, which is only 300 yards away, I had to get it further and further away from me because it was starting to reek. Oh, Lord. This thing stunk. I mean, the smell on this crab, literally, the smell will outlast religion, okay? It's rough. Well, I put it in my car. Well, he put it in his trash bag, and I put it in my trunk of my car. And I had to go from Cape Cod to Blair County, Altoona area, Pennsylvania. That's a 10-hour car ride with no traffic jams. When you know it, I get on this one bridge somewhere, I think I'm up in New York or somewhere, and I get trapped for an hour. We crawl for 2.5 miles. You'd be amazed how long 2.5 miles can feel when you're not moving. I'm sure some of you can relate. So, I have this crab, and it's starting to reek. It's baking in my trunk. It reeks. I have the air conditioning on and the windows down because it is starting to encompass the cab of my car. It was nasty. I get back here, open up the trunk lid, pop it open, and oh, wow, the stench, oh my, it was like a cloud came out of my trunk. I ended up taking it inside, put on the back porch, and I live in a wooded area up in my neighborhood of Hollidaysburg area where I live at. It's wooded, so the back porch and whatnot. So I put it out there, and I don't think a deer, I don't think raccoons, chipmunks, anything was gonna come around this thing. It was disgusting. I'm surprised it didn't. It was rough. I mean, really, I'll tell you, it was rough. Me saying that, I was saying something. So, I put it back in my car because people at work wanted to see this thing. So I'm driving down to work with this for a week, back and forth to work, in the heat. And this sucker stunk so badly. My mother ended up taking it to her house, well, from my house to her house, and she basically had to boil it. And she boiled it. Here it was pregnant. It had 1,000,001 eggs. Like, I think it was like, I guarantee you that thing probably had 700 and some eggs. It was a lot. Like, it just kept pouring out. So, anyway, she boils it and brings it back. It still has these legs on it. Like, the legs that, you know, it came with. Well, after like 2 weeks, I said, Mom, I need to get these legs out. I don't like spiders, and that many legs, it's just, from the bottom, when you flip it over, it looked like a tarantula with a big lid. It just wasn't working for me. So, she's like, I'll come over and help you cut them off. So I have these, like, tree trimming kind of pruning things, big long things, you know what I'm talking about. Well, she comes over and I'm like, I can't hold this bowl while she's it was like, do you ever like at Christmas when you're taking the nuts into that cracker, like, that's what it sounded like. I'm like, I'm getting chills just thinking about it. And so I put these big carpenter gloves on, sat on my hands, on my knees in my kitchen, and leaned over the sink with this crab in my hands. Mind you, I was like this, because I was trying to block the sound of the crunching crab while she's pruning away its legs, and I'm like trying to hold over like this, going, oh, it was horrible. And I'm like, nah! And I'm like singing, you know. It was just rough. And the things I could feel the vibration in the bowl, the crab, the crackling of its phalanges or legs or whatever you want to call it, the things that maneuvers. Oh, it's gross. And I'm like trying to, mind you, I'm in this compromised state. All I can see is my cabinets in front of me, and this bowl is over the edge of the sink. I was trying to, you know, get leverage. And there's a spike stick waving back and forth because she's like, my mother's not gentle. She's like, and I'm like, I think it was 8 legs she had. Anyway, it was like 8 legs on this thing, and she tried them out. So, that was that. So, mind you, I take it to work, and I'm going back and forth to work with this thing. And one night, I will admit, I had a lead foot. That Honda goes. Just press the gas pedal. It's funny how that happens. It's marvelous engineering. And I happened to see cherries and berries in my rearview mirror. That's a cop. I'm like, lovely! So I pull over and I'm like, great. Here I'm realizing I'm going a little faster than I should be. Obviously, he felt needy. He wanted to tell me all about that. Well, he pulls up with his flashlight, you know, gets out, walks up, and he looks at me, and with the flashlight beaming in my face, he goes, what is that? And I went, it's a Honda. And he went, no, that smell. I'm like, oh, that's my crab. It's in the bag. And he looks back in the back seat. I'm like, no, it's in the trunk. So I pop the little button for the trunk, get out, up goes like, and I pull out the thing and I hold it by its spike of a tail, and he's got that mag light looking right at it. He's going, oh, son, and he's like heaving, the dry heaving he does. It's hysterical. This cop is like, I mean, full-body dry heave here we're talking. He is like, son, seriously. And I'm like, no, look, it's dead. We had its had legs, and it was a female. She was pregnant. And I'm like, we boiled it. Don't worry, it's dead. And he's like, no. And every time he looked at it, it was like his mind just, finally, after about 30 seconds, he goes, son, just go. Just take it and go. Just get out of here. Oh, slow down. Just slow down. But seriously, get out of here. So, that crab got me out of a ticket. But I can only imagine what the dash cam on that car must have saw. Now that that story's out of the way, I have that crab. I dug it out. Oh, boy. And here it is. She is, I should say. It's a girl. It did have eggs, like I said. And this is it. This is my crab. This didn't make it to my Christmas cards last year, so if you want my Christmas cards, you've already seen this. But this is my crab. And I believe they are bottom feeders, because that's kind of how it maneuver. I think, I'm not up on my crustaceans. If that's what, I think it's a crustacean. It's a crab. Okay, it's a crab. We'll just say it's a crab. And the thing still stinks. That smell will never leave it. Anyway, it was sitting here doing really good, and I'm gonna probably spray. This thing has seen more Febreze in the time I've had it that I think most people go through in a year's time. Like, I'm not kidding. This thing, why is it off the camera? It's nasty, but that's my crab. But whew, I can still smell it. You know, this thing sat in a. This thing sat in a shed and survived a Pennsylvania winter with freezing temperatures, and it still reeks when you put water on it. It's disgusting. Anyway, I need to, like, seriously do something about it, but if you can see in here, we'll do it. How can I do this to make it look right? Ooh, I don't have to break. But her legs were here, and her body or whatnot, but that was, I don't know where the eyeballs in this thing would actually be at. Like, I really don't know. I'll have to look at more of my crabs. But her eggs were down in this little pocket here. It's like hollow. It's like there's a cavity here. And her brain and all that fun stuff was there. But that's it. There's my crab. And when I picked that thing for the... I'm like, look at it, officer! Look at my crab! Look at my crab! And he's like, ooh! I'm like, well, don't worry. I mean, seriously, he was like... I will admit, it's a hell of a conversation piece. But seriously, it's kind of cool looking. I don't know if I want to sleep with it and cuddle in bed with it. Kind of a prickly personality, if you catch my drift. So anyway, on that note, that's my story of my crab. And I had to share that with you because it's like something that I can show you and not just tell you about. So I'm going to try to throw a couple of those out. But at any rate, guys, I hope you enjoy. Let me know what you think about my crab. Any questions and whatnot, I'll answer. But in the meantime, until next time, I'm nosy. Alright, bud. People, peeps. There you go, peeps. Keep rocking!